Mic check, check, check. All right, y'all might have not heard nothing I just said. Let's see if this will play too. But it's not playing neither. All right, that should be playing now. What in the world? Why is it doing that?
Iran alongside.
All right, there you go. My bad, y'all. I had to fix my audio. Damn, that's crazy, man. Shots fired at my damn self. Silly. Well, that just lets you know, man. You got to make sure that your audio is set up before you go live. Silly on me. All right, let's go, man. We good, though. We just started. All right, this is the war on Iran reaction. We just go ahead and get into it, man. If y'all didn't even hear the intro, that's fine. We're going to go ahead and start talking our shit. Let's go.
Israel. Let's listen. And spoiler, it's not what they're telling you.
The United States and Israel are waging a war of aggression against Iran.
Right.
The United States military began major combat operations.
Still can't get over the fact that the commander-in-chief decided to give this address while wearing a fucking baseball cap, bro. This is so ridiculous.
I mean, he's an extremely unorthodox president. I think people already understand that about Donald Trump. I think that also he had, there were plans to put him in office for, I'm going to say, at least 20 years. Ever since I was like a teenager, there used to be conversations about Donald Trump being the president. So this is all by design as well. The presidents are usually someone that they want to put in office or someone that's related to all of the other presidents. It's all by design, people. So to see them waging war against a place like Iran, I mean, it's not a surprise, but to get the, to get the information on what'll be taking place because of the war, that's what we're going to look into, all right? But by design, it's a distraction from all of the other things that was taking place where all of those crazy allegations and truths came out in the E-files, all right? So let's keep going.
It's just ridiculous. It's a fucking clown show, bro.
In Iran.
On the 28th of February, the U.S. and Israel launched a surprise attack on Iran. This came at a time when the U.S. claimed that supposedly it was participating in peace talks with Iran, but Washington violated those peace talks and launched what it called preemptive strikes, which is blatantly illegal according to international law. This is an imperialist war of aggression. And it must be emphasized.
Yeah. Why can't I do that? If I feel, I'm having an altercation, an argument with a guy, why can't I preemptively punch you in the face? Why won't that work in a court of law, right? No, it was preemptive self-defense.
That this has nothing to do with nuclear weapons. Donald Trump gave a speech in which he admitted that the goal of the U.S. is to overthrow the Iranian government and put in power a puppet regime like the CIA did when it carried out a coup d'etat in 1953 against Iran's democratically elected leader.
This is so, at this point, do people realize anything that's taking place in America, it almost seems as if everyone else is in control of it. It doesn't seem as if the American people have anything to do with what's going on in our country. It seems like our presidents give up the leadership for money. There's always deals being cut that we're not aware of, and we don't really know who's for who. It almost, and they always speak about who's American and who's not American. The people that's in control, they don't seem like they have American ideals or beliefs. It's always of the other ethnicities or other nationalities. It never seems as if we have anything to do with what's going on in this country, it leads me to believe that this is just like an operation as well. Our whole government system is just an operation created to funnel money through other organizations and nationalities and groups.
Today, the U.S. empire is once again.
How well did that work out, by the way? and why did we do it then? Was it to spread democracy? Of course not. It was because Iran wanted to nationalize their oil supply. That's all it was. Same shit in Venezuela. But all right, let's keep it pushing.
And trying to overthrow an independent government. In his speech, Trump threatened members of the Iranian military and said they must put down their weapons, and if they don't, the U.S. empire will eliminate.
If I was the president, I'd have a hat on too, though. I'd be right up there with some kind of fly-ass hat on my head. Let's go.
them.
Right.
To the members of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard, the armed forces, and all of the police, I say tonight that you must lay down your weapons and have complete immunity, or in the alternative, face...
They must fucking hate us. They must fucking hate America so much. To like turn on your television and see this guy being like, okay, lay down, ass up, face down, okay? Just take it. It's happening. There's nothing you can do to stop it. You just got to take it. Hey, don't move. Don't move. Quiet. Shh. You know you like it.
certain death.
And then Trump openly called for the people of Iran to overthrow their government. Again, this is not about non-existent nuclear weapons. This is about regime change and imperialism.
Finally, to the great proud people of Iran, I say tonight that the hour of your freedom is at hand. Stay sheltered. Don't leave your home. It's very dangerous outside. Bombs will be dropping everywhere. Right. When we are,
you know, I'm pretty sure those children that were those girls in that all-girls elementary school, I think it was an all-girls elementary school. This story has been confirmed by the New York Times, by the way. We know for a fact this happened. Was destroyed by a bomb. I think those girls were inside. Right. I think those girls, I think it's 84 girls so far reported dead.
Wow.
I'm pretty sure they were inside. So.
Finished. Take over.
So how do the American people feel about this current situation? Does anybody want to engage, you know, with this current topic about how do you feel about this current situation with America, you know, basically essentially threatening to lay down bombs in another country, allegedly for another nation? These allegations about us being tied to the small hats and to another organization, another government, seem to be very realistic and very true, and it seems as if this man is being manipulated by another source, all for the sake of control, power, greed. It doesn't seem to be changing anytime soon, and it just happens to be happening right after all of the fucking allegations about Donald Trump came out. All right. This guy is completely compromised. Our president. It's being put on display right now for us in 4K. And from my understanding, that was a mass shooting that took place in America. We're going to pull everything up. We're going to pull up as much information as we can before we get out of here today. So, you know, just stay tuned in. Let's keep going.
Your government, it will be yours to take. This will be probably your only chance for generations.
This is a presidential piece, by the way. When he was campaigning, something he said was, oh, if Kamala got put into a position of power, right, she became the president, she was going to start wars. Yep. I'm going to end wars. I'll be the president of peace. Well, so far, we have decapitated the leadership of now 2 governments in less than 1 year, right? In about a year of this guy getting, reclaiming the presidency, he has decapitated 2 sovereign nations now. Wow.
For many years, you have
that
asked.
That has always been the acts of the Republic. Okay, they ping pong this shit with our political sides. Okay, the left and the right. They ping pong it. Oh, one person is going to do this. Oh, the other person is going to do this if they get in the office. No, they both do it. Okay, they both do it. Let's start back and like one side is better than the other. No. One bird, 2 wings. It's the same thing. It's no different. All right. And they manipulate us to make us believe that there's 2 sides to it. But no, they all work for each other. They all shake hands. They all eat together. They all go to these secret weird ass parties together. What would we expect out of our government? We're always on it. The citizens of America are always left out on the outside to figure out what's going on with our own government.
For America's help, but you never got it. No president was willing to do what I am willing to do tonight. Now you have a president who is giving you what you want. So let's see how you respond. America is backing you with overwhelming strength and devastating force.
But Washington also underestimates the ability of Iran to respond and defend itself. And immediately after the U.S. launched this war of aggression, Iran started attacking U.S. military bases in the region. The U.S. has surrounded Iran with more than 40,000 troops in dozens of military bases and installations. And these are all targets that Iran can and will hit. So immediately in response to this U.S.-Israeli war of aggression, Iran bombed the Al Udeid air base that the U.S. has in Qatar. This is the largest U.S. military base in the region. And Iran also hit U.S. military bases in Bahrain, Kuwait, and the UAE. And this is just in a few hours after the initial U.S.-Israeli attack. So the arrogance of politicians in Washington can actually end up being their Achilles heel. Because Donald Trump came to the wrong lesson after invading Venezuela on the 3rd of January and kidnapping Venezuela's internationally recognized constitutional president, Nicolas.
Yeah, no, it emboldened them.
Maduro. But Venezuela is much smaller and much weaker than Iran. Venezuela has a population of less than 30 million people, whereas Iran has more than 93 million people.
God damn.
Iran is significantly larger than Iraq, which the U.S. invaded in another war of aggression in 2003. And let's not forget that the U.S. lost the war in Iraq.
Right.
This is why Trump warned in the speech that he gave after he started this war.
So it's looking like it's going to go worse than Iraq. And the difference is Iran has much stronger leverage, much stronger ties in regards to their allyship with the surrounding Islamic nations as well as countries like China, because China relies heavily on Iran for oil. And so China has a vested interest in securing the sovereignty of Iran, because America doesn't want China to have.
Appreciate that subscription. Appreciate subscribing to the channel. So, I mean, at this point, it's looking like a prediction of a world war. Okay, I believe that's the current conversation. That's the current topic for this subject. Okay, once again, they're performing these coups d'etats in places like Venezuela. Now we're gonna, hit Iran, and Iran has backing of China, from what Mr. Young Don Reacts is saying. Okay. Which means that more people will want to get involved. I think the main goal, of course, at this point, because we're always looking like the bullies, is that more people are going to want to knock down the big bad bully. All right. They're going to want to get involved and make sure that the big bad bully doesn't succeed in winning this war. Sid Vicious. Sid Vicious was a wrestler, wasn't he? What up?
Access to the oil. It's the same thing with Venezuela. It was all about cutting off China's oil reserves.
Or that U.S. troops may lose their lives fighting this imperialist war of aggression.
Wow.
The lives of courageous American heroes may be lost, and we may have casualties. That often happens in war. But we're doing this not for now. We're doing this for the future. And
this is insane because, again, when he was running for the presidency, he said, if you elect Kamala as president, she is going to send American men and women to go and die in some faraway nation that nobody knows the name of. Now, I guess the only difference here is we know the name Iran. We know that name very well. But it seems like exactly the things he campaigned against, he's doing. Wow, man.
It is a noble mission. We pray for every service member as they selflessly risk their lives. We ask God to protect all of our heroes in harm's way, and we trust that with his help, the men and women of the armed forces will prevail. We have the greatest in the
with
world.
With God's help, we will murder all the people we need to murder. Yeah, we will crush them with the help of Jesus. Oh, man. Ain't no.
What up, Russell Red? Shout out to you, man. So that's why, religion is one of those things that, you have to go and do your own research. You have to make sure that you're praying for all of the right things, because the people that's out here proclaiming to be a part of the same religion that you may be praying to, they don't have the same intentions as you. They don't walk around making sure that they're spreading peace and not war. No, they're praying on war. They're praying for peace after war. They don't give a damn about peace. They only care about greed, money, and ruling over society and telling us whatever the hell they want to tell us just to get us to stay on board with them. And it's like, yo, man, people should really, really pay attention to how certain things are being overlooked all while this is taking place. It's like we're not standing up against this ridiculous and egregious presidency currently. We're not standing up and fighting against this shit. We just keep rolling along with it. It's almost like we're just the sheep of the society. No other nations, no other countries get ran over and controlled in the manner that we get controlled. We're just allowing this shit to continue to happen, opposed to us getting these people the fuck out of office, making sure that they never get to stand at a podium and spread these poisonous ways of man.
Like good old American Christianity.
And they will prevail.
Israel's prime
This
minister...
is the Old Testament God. I guess we back to the Old Testament God. We not even talking about Jesus no more.
Benjamin Netanyahu published a message on Twitter calling to overthrow the Iranian government. I should remind people that Netanyahu is currently wanted, as we speak, by the International Criminal Court for the crimes against humanity he committed against the Palestinian people in Gaza with the full support of the U.S. empire. And now Netanyahu and Trump are waging another imperial war of aggression. No. And Netanyahu admitted that this is about regime change. He said, quote, "Our joint operation will create the conditions for the brave Iranian people to take their fate into their own hands, to cast off the yoke of tyranny and bring freedom and peace-loving values to Iran," end quote. So this is the same old colonial rhetoric we heard.
Peace through war. Just like in 1984, the book by George Orwell.
What I just said.
Peace through war.
From the European empires who said they had to civilize.
War is peace. It was actually the slogan.
The barbaric native populations, indigenous peoples of the lands they colonized in order to exploit their natural resources, to rob them of their natural wealth. And the Western colonialists claimed that they were spreading civilization. It was part of the white man's burden.
Wow.
This is the same rhetoric we hear today from the colonialists in Tel Aviv and Washington.
Yep.
And it must be emphasized, this is not just about Donald Trump and Benjamin Netanyahu. A lot of people are focusing on the internal politics in the U.S. and Israel. You know, the U.S. has a midterm election coming up in 2026. Netanyahu has faced charges of corruption that are very well documented. And certainly Trump and Netanyahu want to increase support domestically, and they want to be remembered in history as the leaders who overthrew the revolutionary Iranian government. But this goes back much longer. This is not just about the individual leaders today in the U.S. and Israel. The U.S. empire has been trying to overthrow the Iranian government for decades. Immediately after 9/11, after the attacks on September 11th, 2001, the former top U.S. military general Wesley Clark, who was a commander of NATO, he revealed that the Pentagon made plans to overthrow 7 governments in West Asia and North Africa.
Wow.
Those governments were Iraq, Syria, Lebanon, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, and Iran. And the U.S. succeeded in overthrowing the governments in 6 of those 7 countries. The only remaining country is Iran.
Jesus.
Listen here to this very revealing admission by a former top U.S. military general. And keep in mind, he said this 2 decades ago before anyone ever thought in a million years that Donald Trump would become president.
Right.
Right after 9/11, about 10 days after 9/11, I went through the Pentagon and I saw Secretary Rumsfeld and Deputy Secretary Wolfowitz. I went downstairs just to say hello to some of the people on the joint staff who used to work for me. And one of the generals called me and he said, "Sir, you got to come in. You got to come in and talk to me a second." He said, "I just got this down from upstairs, meaning the Secretary of Defense office today." And he said, "This is a memo that describes how we're going to take out 7 countries in 5 years, starting with Iraq and then Syria, Lebanon, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, and finishing off Iran."
So again, it must be emphasized that this U.S.-Israeli war of aggression against Iran has nothing to do with nuclear weapons.
Right.
Iran does not...
And really, this is the kind of shit that fuels 9/11 conspiracies, man.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, but at this point, does it really look like a conspiracy? I mean, at this point, do you really have to think about whether or not this is a conspiracy, that that 9/11 was a planned attack, allegedly by our own, okay? That I mean, you could speculate whatever, or you could go with what they've told you. Innocent lives were lost, you know, but it seems to me that our own country once again has us in the palm of their hands, just telling us whatever the hell they want to tell us, all while creating these plans to destroy, destruct, and then reconstruct in their own way. All right. What's up, Hussein Inkertlick. Bang, bang, bro. What it do, man? Shout out to you. Appreciate you pulling up. Hope you subscribe to the channel. Yeah, man. We're gonna put a goal up here, man, just to get it rolling, just to get the content rolling, man. War or peace, man. What y'all rolling with, man? Do people really, side with war? Do we believe that we should have to use brute force and annihilation in order to get our plans? You know what I mean? Like what do people really believe should be the way of the world? All right.
A situation where the U.S. government just didn't allow a good crisis to go to waste and then capitalize on this act of terrorism to conduct this plan to overthrow all of these Middle Eastern governments? Or was there something more nefarious at play?
Washington and Tel Aviv were using these fake peace talks as a ruse, as a cover, as an illusion, while they were planning the surprise attack against Iran.
This is some grimy, dirty, sneaky stuff, man. This is some grimy, dirty, just backdooring niggas. Terrible, bro.
It's exactly what the U.S. and Israel have done yet again this February 2026, launching another war of aggression against Iran on a much bigger scale. They want regime change. They think the Iranian government is weak and they can overthrow it and put a puppet regime in power. It is the U.S. and Israel that do not want peace. They do not support diplomacy. They never actually wanted these peace talks and these fake negotiations. By the way, Iran's current president is a reformist. The Western media praised him when he was elected, saying that Masoud Pezeshkian is a reformist who wants to improve relations with the West. He wants to agree to another Iran nuclear deal, despite the fact that many critics in Tehran said that you can.
Now think about this as well, because I'm going to pull this up.
Have some break.
I mean, this is just as bad. Like, I just seen the picture that they put on display for the attack that took place in Texas, and rest in peace, and my condolences to those families, and also to the people that were hurt. Get well soon. Praying for those families and those people that were attacked. But they're going to make this out to be an attack from a Muslim society. Okay, this is bigger than what we could possibly think, and the way that they always promote it on the newscast, it just always seems to be some type of way to make people believe that this is what really happened. I never watch the news and believe everything I hear. I take it with a grain of salt. I decipher the message, and then I continue to use that to provide myself with some knowledge of what's going on in America. All right, let's listen to this real quick.
Breaking news. I want to bring this in now. I've been telling everybody about the Austin mass shooter, and now we have a picture. And this is what we're...
Property of Allah. And we got what seems to be a black man or a man of color in a hoodie that says property of Allah. Come on, man. Like, this is one of those things that you have to be very mindful of, all right? Like, it's not just one of those things that it's not one of those things that you could just take for. Hold on. Let me play this.
Finding out per multiple federal law enforcement sources to our own Bill Malhusian, the Austin mass shooter is a 53-year-old naturalized U.S. citizen who was born in Senegal and was living in Pflugerville, Texas. Material recovered from his person and inside the vehicle give possible indications of a nexus to terrorism, as the FBI announced earlier today. And remember what we said he had in his possession and was also wearing. The shooter was wearing clothing that said Allah on it. His sweater said property of Allah. And there's also known to be an undershirt with an Iranian flag and other materials inside. And remember what Representative...
Sorry about that. Yeah, this is complete bullshit. Let me run this back so that I could get a full synopsis.
Remember what we said he had in his possession and was also wearing. The shooter was wearing clothing that said Allah on it. His sweater said property of Allah. And there's also known to be an undershirt with an Iranian flag and other materials inside. And remember what Representative Michael McCall of Texas just told me last hour. He said, Harris, in my own backyard, just last night, we had an event that possibly could have been terror-inspired right here in Austin, Texas. This is what he was talking about. Brett, I was reminding Americans this is not a new place for us to be in terms of keeping our heads on a swivel, but it bears repeating. We've lost Americans in the fight on the battlefield, and protecting the homeland now is also something that we must be on the alert. Now, authorities have not tied this Austin situation to what's happening in the Middle East as terror related to that, but they are investigating it just moments ago, confirming as a possible terror attack. Your reaction?
Well, we have to remain vigilant. I mean, Khamenei, he was a religious figure. We don't know if this attack was associated, but it very well may be. But the fact is, this isn't a representation of how most people from that region feel. The Iranian people, they fear their own rulers more than our own military. They hate, their own oppressive rulers than anyone else. And we may see more attacks like this. We have to be vigilant. There are proxy groups everywhere that are looking.
Fox didn't even want to talk about the e-files. They didn't want to talk about Donald Trump. They didn't want to talk about anything that was taking place in the past few months. Now, all of a sudden, they're very familiar with this message of Donald Trump. Like, man, come on, man. We got to really pay attention to what's being put on display in front of us for the world to see. Think about the people that see a video like this or a photo of that man in that hoodie, a man of color, a man that looks like he could be from the other side of the world, and how they're going to speculate on whether or not, and then now they're going to be right on side of Donald Trump, saying, hey, we're going to take these people to war. That's easy to depict. That's easy for us to be manipulated and say, hey, I agree with the war now. Do people catch my drift, or am I just rambling? You know what I mean? Let's keep going.
For ways to harm Americans and hurt Americans. And but the fact of the matter is, overall, there are images right now showing most Iranians and most Shias celebrating today, not because of war, but because they hate their own rulers more than anyone else. That's a sign that we're striking, not just at their military, we're striking at the legitimacy of a brutal regime. The Iranian people want better relationships with the West. They have the potential to be our biggest ally. I think it's important we collectively separate the terrorist regime from that of the majority Iranian people. These people have spent decades, trying to hurt us. And so the fact is, again, we just need to remain vigilant in the wake of these strikes.
Look, I don't want to make too much out of this because the FBI and federal authorities have to do their jobs and tell us what the facts are with this particular case. But you are looking at on your screen right now, the man that they suspect to be the Austin, Texas shooter. And he is 53 years old. And I don't know if you had seen this as well. There were all sorts of descriptions about age, but now we know some specificity. He's 53-year-old American citizen, naturalized, originally from Senegal. He is wearing a sweater, and you can see here a sweater that says "Property of Allah" with an undershirt in the Iranian flag. I want to ask you about this. We had a tremendous amount of people come across the border, and I can't ignore this because this is just fact, Brett. There are a lot of people in this country. We don't know if they're being radicalized. Maybe some came in and they participated in that or led the way or have become something different while they're here. But it matters letting millions of people come in, and you have no way to vet them. And that's what happened under the Biden administration. We're catching up, but a lot of those people are still here. Your thoughts?
See, they always want to go back to politics, right? Like, they don't never want to speak about the interesting way of the current regime or the current president in America, not regime, excuse me, but the current president and his staff. They always want to make it some type of political bullshit opposed to what's currently taking place, So he said, look, we're about to go to war with Mexico, already at war with Venezuela. Putin is on standby, and we just invaded the Muslim territory, boy. Shit is looking crazy right now because of and I ain't going to say that word, the E-files. Definitely going to war because the United States government officials are all tied to espionage. I totally agree, okay?
Well, with that, as well as what's going on overseas, there's been a seismic shift in global security, right? That regime over there in Iran is, fragile after decades of corruption. That border for years was a perfect place for the Iranian regime to send some of their proxy groups undetected. I don't know if you remember years ago, we almost had an attack in D.C. where Iranians were sent in to try and kill the Saudi ambassador at the time. There are humans out there that want to hurt us. And right now there is a complete structural shock to the Iranian regime and their way of life. Their internal internal system is highly centralized around this supreme leader, and that religious leader is gone. I think that was one of the reasons that President Trump initially had maybe held off the Israelis striking Khamenei, because he was such a religious figure. But that's changed now. We've removed that node, and it's created this uncertainty inside the clerical establishment across the proxy networks globally, and we need to just pay attention for more attacks like this.
Brett Velikovich, thank you for your response too on those Americans who've been killed and those who have been badly injured. Thank you very much. On behalf of all those families, both of us, we wish them well.
Yeah. So, I mean, at this point, if you can't, let's
Israel
see what
right
else
now
we
to
got right
Trey
here.
Yanks. There are missiles in the air right now. Trey, can you tell us what's going on?
Yeah, my cameraman's going to zoom in.
It's very interesting how Israel's always on the good side. They're always on the good foot. They're always the ones being attacked. They're always the ones that have to defend themselves. It's interesting. It's extremely interesting. And we're always right in the middle of it. We're always involved with going to get the oil as well. It's almost like we work hand in hand amongst each other. Once again, it doesn't look like we have the benefit of our nation at stake. It's always the benefit of the elite, of the political puppets, okay? It's always another form of entity that's benefiting from these attacks and shit like that.
Right here. And if the producers can turn down the mix minus on my IFB while I'm talking here, our efforts right now to shoot down this fire. And we have seen at least, just stay with me 1 second. Okay, from the skyline here to the left of the building, and guys, turn down my mix minus if you can. Okay, you can see this incoming fire right now. There are multiple interceptions that are taking place over Israel's second largest city of Tel Aviv.
And Trey, what are you?
Okay,
you're going to, and you'll be able to tell if this one is taken out by the defense system.
Yeah, right now we can hear a number of explosions in the distance, some interceptions on the outskirts of the city. But you just saw live there the stream through the sky as clearly the Iranians have launched a very large barrage, and some of these missiles appear to have made it past Israel's missile defense system, the Iron Dome. Remember, the Israelis have a tiered missile defense system. They have at the lowest level the Iron Dome, then they have David Sling and the Arrow 2 and 3 systems. Now, the Trump administration was
never forget that
the Iranians would launch a counterattack. They provided the Israelis with additional air defense, including the Patriot and THAAD systems. But still, this is not a perfect layered defense. It is difficult to shoot down some of these hypersonic missiles, and you can hear those explosions behind me. Remember, the northern city of Haifa was also taking fire at the same time. And so when the Iranians save their missiles and launch all at the same time, it's an effort to overwhelm the air defense systems in this country. And I'm just looking at my phone here, and there are just alerts coming in. I'm going to just have my cameraman zoom in here, and you can just see all of these missile alerts throughout the entirety of the country.
So, Trey,
this, again, just shows you how many rockets and missiles are coming in.
Trey, what can you tell us about the stockpile of interceptors that Israel has, and whether or not there is a realistic danger in running out of these interceptors?
So it's a real issue. These are very expensive missile interceptors, and while the Israelis don't have an unlimited amount, we know that the Americans were helping them in advance in preparation for this conflict. It's why you saw so many of those C-17s travel over the Atlantic, some of them landing here in Tel Aviv before this war began. But again, it is challenging to shoot down this incoming fire when the Iranians launch the missiles in the way that they are launching them right now. There was a 7-hour lull in the launches. We hadn't seen any since this morning when there was that missile impact in the southern city of Beersheba. But just yesterday, one of these missiles slammed into a community on the outskirts of Jerusalem called Bet Shemesh. 9 people were killed in a single strike, 6 of them from the same family. And it gives you a sense of just how devastating these missiles can be when they are able to get around these air defense systems. When we zoom out here and we look at the region, air defense is going to be a critical part of this operation. We know there was close coordination between President Trump and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu planning offensive action against the Iranian regime. They are carrying out that operation now. The President Trump also was very importantly focused on defense in the region. And that is what we are seeing tonight, these efforts to shoot down the missiles here in Israel. But it's also Gulf countries that need that support. There are also missiles coming in here. Just slide off with me here. And I don't know if we're going to be able to see it. Just went behind the building right there. You're seeing this missile go right between these buildings in Israel's second largest city. And we don't know where they are landing. We're not sure what the Iranians are trying to target. But the fact that we have seen so many missiles come in, again, it highlights the importance of defense amid this conflict. We heard earlier today from the Secretary of War, the Iranians are going to get hit hard in the days ahead. We understand that. But Israel is also bracing for the possibility that this continues to escalate for a matter of days and possibly weeks.
Trey, thank you so much. Stand by and stay safe.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to
We must protect the children. Okay? We must protect the children. It happened because Iranians burned down ball statues a week ago, and Israel had to defend their child sacrificing entity. All right? That's ball right there. All right? This was the group that has been alleged to be the elite, the forces behind a lot of the e-files, etc. All right? That's all alleged. As you can see, they also have the phallus behind them as well. That is the I forgot what the name of that tower is. It's been so long since I've been to Washington, D.C. But if you take a look at that right here, this entity standing or built behind the bull as well. Okay. Nothing but truths over here, man. Nothing but truths. Shout out to Devontae Hicks. Nothing but truths over here, man. So this is called I forgot the name of the statue that stands in Washington, D.C. alongside Australia as well as the United Kingdom in London, in Britain, and as well as there's one more country, if I'm not mistaken. I believe it's Australia, United States, and the United Kingdom. I believe those are the three headquarters for this elite system. All right. Remember, Washington, D.C. isn't a state. It is a district for the United Nations. Make sure we subscribe to the channel, man. We got 14 watching. All right, they're burning that. They're letting you know that the truth isn't being put on display. The truth does not live in our society. We only get the diluted, the saturated truths in America. We don't get the truths. We get the bullshit, all right? We don't get what's really going on in our country. We only get what they want us to see, all right? Let's go back to Donald Trump. As a matter of fact, hold on. And I know people don't like the truth. That's the jammed up part about it, right? Like, people don't appreciate the truth. They'd rather you lie to them. They'd rather you lie to them, babysit them. They'd rather you just, coddle them, pat them on the back, tell them it's going to be okay. I could only imagine if my family had to live through those types of situations as other countries live through, all right? Where they're constantly being targeted. They're consistently being bullied around and slapped around because they don't want to get down. Now, obviously, I don't live in other countries, so I don't really know what's taking place in those other countries. But what I do know is that we have one of the greatest countries if we can just continue to move with conducting good business. Do good business, as we would say growing up. Just do good business, all right? I'm not picking sides in a fucking war, though. I'm just showing you the facts. I'm just showing you the truths, The truths are always gonna outshine, even when the lies are being proposed.
Saying that Masoud Pezeshkian is a reformist who wants to improve relations with the West. He wants to agree to another Iran nuclear deal, despite the fact that many critics in Tehran said that you cannot ever trust the West. You cannot trust the United States and Israel
clearly,
because
obviously.
they violate every agreement they sign.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what happened yet again. Ask Native Americans what it's like signing agreements with the U.S. government.
They know that very well. They know that very well. So many agreements reneged on by the American government. Native Americans should be everywhere, bro. We should be seeing Native Americans everywhere. They just kept making agreements with them, breaking those agreements, slaughtering them, pushing them further and further west. And now they're all on reservations. You never see them.
They know that the U.S. government can never be trusted because what the U.S. government wants is not peace. It's hegemony. It's complete dominance over this very important geostrategic region. The Middle East, or a better term, is West Asia. It goes without saying that many of the world's largest producers of oil and natural gas are in this region. The U.S.
Remember, there were just conversations about the petrodollar and who wasn't going to accept it, and they're trying to implement this new form of currency. As we can also see that cryptocurrency is on the rise. People are making their, greatest attempts to create these new forms of currency to, create a new form of dominance over the money structure. And so from my understanding, BRICS was one of the largest topics of discussion. But as we can see, that petrodollar is still trying to rule because people require oil to run over, to...
I never did like that. I thought you was the one the Lord chose. If it had not been for the Lord, I wouldn't have had another bitch come into my life. Not a Nobody say that now, another like you say that now, another bitch. I still don't know what that shit means, but it sounds good about it. Now, another mean, don't get a now, nothing. Now, nothing. A now, nothing out of there. Nothing out of there. Bitch, shut the fuck up and try to smile.
Dre W in the building with the 10 gifted. We're going to have to pause that. Hold on. Hold on. All right, hold on, I gotta pause it. Hold on, y'all. Cause he done gifted 10, so let me pull up my stream elements. All right, we got the 10 gifted in the building. You said you just gifted yourself again. Yeah. Yeah, man. My boy Dre W with the 10 gifted. Appreciate that, bro. Let's see. Hey, make sure that y'all salute Dre W for the gifted if you received the gifted membership. Appreciate that, Dre W. Make sure that y'all go through and provide Mr. Dre W with a gifted appreciation for the gifted membership. Appreciate that, Dre W. Appreciate that, man. Dishing Dirt in the building. Shout out to you. Shout out to y'all, man. Appreciate everybody tuning in. All right, let's get back to it. Bring them out. Let's go.
Wants to control all of those resources. And in particular, the U.S. empire is waging a new Cold War against China.
Right.
And the U.S. wants to cut off China from its most...
Dre, appreciate that, man. That's what's up. Bro said he gifted himself twice.
important sources of energy, which is also why the U.S. invaded Venezuela and kidnapped Venezuela's president. It's not a coincidence that more than 80% of Venezuela's oil exports were going to China. And by the way, China also buys about 80% of Iran's oil exports.
Look at that.
And China is the largest importer of oil on earth and the #1 purchaser of oil from the Persian Gulf region. China buys a lot of oil from Saudi Arabia, Iraq, the UAE, Kuwait, Iran, Oman, Qatar, Bahrain. The U.S. wants to control all of this so U.S. corporations can profit and exploit them.
Right.
And the U.S. wants to cut off China from this energy as the U.S. prepares for a future war with China to do the same thing to China that it's trying to do to Iran, to have total global domination and global hegemony to restore the unipolar global order. That is the goal of the U.S. empire. By the way, this is currently what Donald...
So they definitely, as you can hear, they're attempting to get back into the game with the petro, man. Let me go back 10 seconds. 30 seconds.
Prepares for a future war with China to do the same thing to China that it's trying to do to Iran, to have total global domination and global hegemony to restore the unipolar global order. That is the goal of the U.S. empire. By the way, this is currently what Donald Trump is doing to Cuba. The U.S. empire is trying to crush Cuba.
All right, we got Pick and Choose TV with the Welcome to Boogie Land. Let me play that one. I got to go in and I got to go do that one. Hold on. I got to play that from the Stream Elements because Andre made my shit glitch out just now. My shit was going to play back to back. All right, hold on. Let's see. Let me make sure we put some respect on that. Appreciate the love and the support, man. Hold on. Let me make sure we put some respect on it. Let me make sure it's going to play with my OBS has. Donations is on. Donations is on. And then we're going to play that one again. Hey, come on now. Play it now.
I never deny you that. I thought you was the one the Lord chose. If it had not been for the Lord, I wouldn't have had a nail nutter bitch come into my life.
Not a nail nutter.
Nobody say that nail nutter like you say that nail nutter. Not a nail nutter bitch. I still don't know what that shit means, but it sounds good about it. Nail nutter means don't get a nail nutter. Nail nutter. A nail nutter out of there. Nutter out of there. Man, shut the fuck up and try to smile. I never deny you that. I thought you was the one the Lord chose. If it had not been for the Lord, I wouldn't have had a nail nutter bitch come into my life. Not a nail nutter. Nobody say that nail nutter like you say that nail nutter. Not a nail nutter bitch. I still don't know what that shit means, but it sounds good about it. Nail nutter means don't get a nail nutter out of there.
See, it's gonna keep playing. I don't know why I keep doing that. I got you, man. I ain't gonna play the
Nobody say that now nutter like you say that now nutter. Not a now nutter bitch. I still don't know what that shit.
All right, damn now, shit. Nah, we ain't gonna run that one, man. Appreciate this. Appreciate the membership, man. Let's keep it going.
With an oil blockade, starving the country of fuel to try to collapse the economy to overthrow the government. And Trump said, he admitted, they want a takeover of Cuba.
No.
So we see how the U.S.
Why is that? I have to look into that. Why? What does that do for America? How does that help America and Americans? Even from like a strategic point of view of like keeping America as a dominant superpower in the world. I understand Iran, right? I understand securing the oil in the Middle East and all of that, right? Trying to starve out China in regards to their sources of oil. But what?
It's crazy because every time they mention China, I'm confused. And I'm like, well, shit, China, majority of their products is being created, distributed into America. So why in the hell is China always in the middle of it, knowing damn well America is benefiting off of all of the products being made and shipped over into America from China? That shit don't make sense to me. Let's keep going.
Fuck do we get out of doing this to Cuba?
Empire is using access to oil and other natural resources as a geopolitical weapon to overthrow governments it doesn't like, to impose global hegemony. And when we look at the Middle East, West Asia, this extremely important region, Israel plays the key role as an extension of the U.S. empire, as an outpost, a beachhead of the U.S. empire. Netanyahu himself boasted that Israel is a mighty aircraft carrier of the U.S., an unsinkable aircraft carrier. And by the way, Netanyahu is an American. He had U.S. citizenship twice. he only gave up his citizenship in order to become the prime minister of Israel. He was educated and spent the most formative years of his life in the U.S. He worked in Boston with Mitt Romney and other Republicans. He's been a friend of Trump for decades. He is an American settler colonialist in West Asia who is trying to colonize the region on behalf of the U.S. empire. And Iran is the biggest obstacle to U.S. imperial control of one of the most important regions on earth. Never forget that back in 1951, Iran had a democratically elected prime minister, Mohammad Mossadegh, who was not a communist. He was not even a socialist. He was a left-wing nationalist who nationalized the oil of Iran. He said, our oil belongs to us, not to British and American corporations.
How dare you? What? What do you mean your oil belongs to you? That's insane, but that's really what it was. That's really what America says. Like, nigga, fuck, nigga, what you talking about? That ain't your oil. They don't, but why? Because it's on your...
America be wanting to smoke, and at the end of the day, I think a lot of people in America do appreciate the smoke as well. There's currently a lot of people showing their true colors, man, especially like this new generation. Like, I think they would be way more in tune with going to war. I think that they're very comfortable with dying for their country. Well, nothing's wrong with that, right? But when you just going out there and you blatantly just falling for the okie doke, well, whatever they tell you, and they, and they all shaking hands, they getting down with each other, then it kind of takes away from it. We love the soldiers, but we don't love the people that's giving out the directions, telling them where to go when it comes to getting that smoke
fucking
out,
land
cleared out.
That don't mean shit.
So what happened? In 1953, the U.S. and the UK carried out a coup d'etat. The CIA and Britain's intelligence service, MI6, organized a coup d'etat that overthrew the democratically elected Prime Minister Mossadegh, and the U.S. put in power the Shah, a king, a monarch, a dictator.
But black culture is violent, right?
Yeah, you can't listen to that shit.
But black culture is violent and uncivilized. Right, yeah. Who's responsible for almost all of the wars in the last 200 years?
The Europeans. Now, it wasn't our people. For the most part, I think that people would like to argue that, we're the most violent people, but I mean, that's to be argued very, very much so.
The U.S. does not care one iota about democracy. None of this has to do with democracy. This is imperialism. The U.S. wants to put in power a puppet who will govern Iran on behalf of the U.S. empire and allow U.S. corporations to exploit Iran's natural resources and to exploit the labor of the Iranian people.
Right.
If you listen to the rhetoric of imperial planners in Washington, they used to talk about how Iran was part of their so-called twin pillars strategy. The U.S. empire tried to control the Middle East, West Asia, with two pillars. The Western pillar was Saudi Arabia, and the Eastern pillar was Iran. However, in 1979, the people of Iran rose up in a revolution, and they overthrew the Shah, the U.S.-backed dictator, and they had an anti-colonial revolution and created a new government. And the U.S. empire lost one pillar of its so-called twin pillar strategy.
Right.
And ever since then, the U.S. empire has been desperately trying to overthrow Iran's revolutionary government. This is why the U.S. government ironically supported Saddam Hussein's Iraq in the 1980s after Iraq invaded Iran in a war of aggression and tried to overthrow Iran's new revolutionary government. And the CIA supported Saddam Hussein as he used chemical weapons and gassed people in Iran.
Right.
Because again, the U.S. does not care one bit about...
Right. But the reason we're bringing peace and democracy to Iran is out of sympathy for the Iranian people, right? Because the supreme leader, he was this violent dictator, this horrible person, which he most certainly was. He was an evil son of a bitch. who killed thousands of his own civilians, and that was wicked and evil. Okay, I'm with you. But then how do you explain backing Saddam Hussein, who was gassing Iranians? That kind of seems like a bit of a contradiction. Is it really that we care about the Iranian people, or is there something else going on here? That's really what you need to ask yourself.
Democracy or human rights or any of that propagandistic nonsense. This is about imperialism. And the strategy of the U.S. empire today is very clear. Washington wants to install another puppet in Tehran. And who's the puppet the U.S. is supporting? None other than the so-called crown prince, the fail son of the former U.S.-backed dictator, the Shah, and the former Israeli intelligence officer, Barak Ravid, who rebranded as a journalist after working for Israeli intelligence agencies. He reported that the Trump administration has been secretly meeting with the so-called Iranian exiled crown prince, in scare quotes, and expressing support for him to try to put him in power as a puppet. Let's keep in mind, this guy has never had a real job. His entire life, which, by the way, he spent most of his life living in the United States,
of course,
working closely with the U.S. government to try to overthrow Iran's government. And now that the U.S. and Israel are waging another war of aggression against Iran, this fake so-called crown prince, Reza Pahlavi, went on Twitter and he called on the people of Iran to overthrow the Iranian government with the support of the U.S. so they can put this puppet in power. He said, quote, "The aid that the president of the United States promised to the brave people of Iran has now arrived. This is a humanitarian intervention."
Yeah, tell that to the little girls that got blown up to smithereens.
End quote. He said, quote,
"This shit is crazy, man. I think that if we're not familiar with what's, how the Republic moved, since they want to make this such a political thing, I believe the last time we went to war, like they said in Afghanistan, that was created by George Bush. And then his father was also involved with that. So they know exactly who they want to put in office when it comes to fighting these wars in the Middle East. All right. To go get oil, to overthrow governments, and to bring in the political puppets that they want to bring in to make sure that they get what they want out of the situation with these countries. All right. Let's play this by Donald Trump.
One of the largest, most complex. Over the past 36 hours, the United States and its partners have launched Operation Epic Fury, one of the largest, most complex, most overwhelming military offensives the world has ever seen. Nobody's seen anything like it. We have hit hundreds of targets in Iran, including Revolutionary Guard facilities, Iranian air defense systems. Just now, it was announced that we knocked out 9 ships plus their naval building, all in a matter of literally minutes. Iran's formerly supreme leader, Ayatollah Khamenei, is dead. This wretched and vile man had the blood of hundreds and even thousands of Americans on his hands and was responsible for the slaughter of countless thousands of innocent people all across many countries. Last night, all over Iran, the voices of the Iranian people could be heard cheering and celebrating in the streets when his death was announced. The entire military command is gone as well, and many of them want to surrender into saving their lives. They want immunity. They're calling by the thousands. Combat operations continue at this time in full force, and they will continue until all of our objectives are achieved. We have very strong objectives. They could have done something 2 weeks ago, but they just couldn't get there. Earlier today, CENTCOM shared the news that 3 U.S. military service members have been killed in action. As one nation, we grieve for the true American patriots who have made the ultimate sacrifice for our nation, even as we continue the righteous mission for which they gave their lives. We pray for the full recovery of the wounded and send our immense love and eternal gratitude to the families of the fallen. And sadly, there will likely be more. Before it ends, that's the way it is. Likely be more, but we'll do everything possible without.
This man can stand up there and talk this shit without even batting an eye. If they don't care about those people across those other nations, what makes you think that they give a damn about us? They'll continue to rape us for our tax money and funnel it into their organizations, into their pockets to make sure that their families are good, all while we still out here scratch our heads and try to wonder and figure out who's really for what. All right?
That won't be the case. But America will avenge their deaths and deliver the most punishing blow to the terrorists who have waged war against basically civilization. They have waged war against civilization itself. Our resolve, and likewise that of Israel, has never been stronger. America is now, again, the richest, most powerful nation in the world by far. But the only reason we enjoy the quality of life that we do and the freedom and security is we have done things that others are unable to do. But it's because of warriors who are willing to lay down their lives to do battle with our enemies.
Right,
And
exactly.
they do battle better than anybody. An Iranian regime armed with long-range missiles and nuclear weapons would be a dire threat to every American. We cannot allow a nation that raises terrorist armies to possess such weapons, would allow them to extort the world to their evil will. Not going to let it happen.
Mass destruction.
Not happening to us.
Who has weapons of mass destruction? It's crazy, man. What it do, CP3? Shout out to you pulling up. Figure who for what. If the people could decide what they want, demand it and don't work for a week. Learn to grow food. We are too dependent. We are dependent. But keep in mind of who purchases up all of the farmland, who turns right around and feeds our society poisonous foods and you know continues to tell us that fruit is bad for you, all while they create all of the poisonous fruits and vegetables to wipe us out, all while Big Pharma makes billions of dollars from people being sick in America. Remember, in other countries, some of the foods that we eat and that we promote in our country, they can't even serve. All right. There, it's illegal, basically. And it's a lot of different foods, trust me. All right. And once you become addicted to that type of food, to that type of lifestyle, eating certain things, and I mean, it's but so long before you end up in a fucking grave. All right. That's You can make the attempts. There was a guy out in I forgot what state it was. It was one of those rainy states. But basically he was collecting rainwater, all right? And all while he was collecting rainwater, Bevan 2.0, shout out to you, bro. Appreciate you pulling up. All while he was collecting rainwater, they were penalizing him. I think he ended up in jail if I'm not mistaken. I'll have to do some a little more research on that, or you all can do that. But yeah, they penalized this guy for collecting rainwater. They said that the water belonged to the state or to the district, the region. They didn't even want to let this man collect rainwater. What makes you think that they're going to allow you to grow your own fucking crops without them wanting to infiltrate it? Everything is infiltration with us. All right. If we were to stand up against that type of, if we were to perform this democracy, just like the people up in Minnesota, which I don't even know if that's true or not. You know, maybe that's just for the news and maybe that's just to rile us up as well. But no, you can't do that. You will be shot down in the street. All right. You said a half acre will feed a family of 4, they say. I am as guilty. I am not doing it either. But when I think how can a real protest work, don't do that. My kids are watching my video. Let's keep going. I'm gonna have to go get them real quick. No, don't watch this. This is not for kids. Get off of the video.
And we're not going to let it happen to others. The United States
is
is
the
the strongest military
appreciate my kids,
the world
man. I love
has
'em.
ever seen. I rebuilt our military in my first term. There's never been a military like we possess. And frankly,
Appreciate that, Frank. Yeah, I appreciate everybody that tunes in. I know CP3, man. My kids, man, they suck bells. They definitely know how to use YouTube, and I do monitor what they watch. But you know, I appreciate them watching me as well.
There's nobody even close, but we are now using that military for good. We want to have it for good purpose. We're undertaking this massive operation not merely to ensure security for our own time and place, but for our children and their children, just as our ancestors have.
We are going to actually create a family channel on YouTube. They have to stay off my channel, though. I told them that it's a lot of adult content over here. And they love to promote it. Like, we'll be out in public, they'll promote it. So I appreciate my babies doing that.
Done for us many, many years ago. This is the duty and the burden of a free people. These actions are right and they are necessary to ensure that Americans will never have to face a radical, bloodthirsty terrorist regime armed with nuclear weapons and lots of threats. For almost 50 years.
It's almost the same rhetoric whenever they report the Middle East of having these weapons of mass destruction. It's almost like they're on repeat. It's like an old mixtape playing from these fucking Republicans, man. And see, like, they continue to like talk shit about the Democrats. Either side, I don't care. It's either the Democrats are promoting low income and you know, they like to make it seem as if everyone out here is just suffering and they don't work and, you know, they need assistance, all while they destroy the homes. And then the Republic, they'll come and say, well, we'll help clean that up, all while creating wars in the Middle East and wherever else they feel like, you know, they just close their eyes and point, oh, we're about to go take over that nation, that government. No, man. Yeah, shout out to the little boogies, man. Nah, man, that's bullshit, okay? That's bullshit, and I see through it. I see past it. I hope that everyone that tunes in, they see past it as well. And, you know, we continue to make sure that we don't get persuaded by the negative entities that are placed in front of us on TV or social media. I don't give a damn if it is our political pundits, all right? I don't give a damn.
These wicked extremists have been attacking the United States while chanting the slogan, death to America or death to Israel or both. They are the world's #1 state sponsor of terror. We are the world's greatest and most powerful nation, so we can do something about what they do. These intolerable threats will not continue any longer. I once again urge the Revolutionary Guard, the Iranian military, and police, to lay down your arms and receive full immunity or face certain death. It will be certain death. Won't be pretty. I call upon all Iranian patriots who yearn for freedom to seize this moment, to be brave, be bold, be heroic, and take back your country. America is with you. I made a promise to you, and I fulfilled that promise. The rest will be up to you, but we'll be there to help. Thank you. God bless you to our incredible warriors, and God bless the United States of America. Thank you.
What in the hell, boy? Jesus Christ. All right, man. It's your boy L Boogie Reacts. L Boogie Reacts in the building, man. I appreciate everybody that tuned in and rocked out with me for this time being, for the hour I think we did. We did an hour 10. Shout out to Andre W with the 10 gifted. Shout out to all my mods in the chat. Shout out to Mr. Pick and Choose TV with the gifted as well. I mean, not with the gifted, but with the membership. Appreciate you membering up. All right, stay tuned for more content, man. It's your boy L Boogie Reacts. We up out of here. Until next time, man, hug your loved ones. Tomorrow's never promised. Tomorrow's never guaranteed. And we out, man. Salute. Copacetic, cool, calm, and collected. And I don't do detectives. I'm overprotected. Copacetic.